The reason your offense feels stagnant right now in Madden 26 is because you can't seem to shake man coverage. Luckily for you, in this video, I'm breaking down step by step exactly how you're going to be able to beat man coverage every single time to pick up easy yards. If you're tired of getting caged by bots every single game, don't skip out on any of the tips and tricks I have for you about beating man coverage. And let's jump right into it. The first tip that's going to help you destroy man every single time is having glitched routes that make man impossible to run. Let me show you. Alright, so what we're talking about here is going to be speed table routes, like from spacing switch here and gun bunch X nasty, alright? All we're going to do, put X on a or actually it really doesn't matter the route concept that you have, you can call whatever you want, but this is what I would recommend you do. But bottom line, we're going to be taking advantage of how these speed table routes run against man. So we're going to take this snap right here, and you're going to notice how it's going to be like impossible for these defenders to be able to cover these guys out of the backfield when they're in man coverage. So again, we'll put them in 3 deep here, but still man coverage at the end of the day. It's like he's just going to get a speed boost out of the backfield, and it's going to be very, very hard for them to be able to defend. Now, when they have excellent leverage like that, it's a little bit different, but which is why, like, if you're on defense, I've broken down last week how you can stop this play, right? It comes down to having the right leverage. But when it's, when they're lined up across from each other, like you're able to see right here, this route just gets a boost out of the backfield, and it just makes it to where the separation is going to be insane on that. And so think about this. When you have a route like this that is going to be basically impossible to defend, right, you can do this from actually Y sail and normal Y off close, right? You can do this here from gun bunch X nasty spacing switch. But it's all about just finding routes and finding plays that can actually beat man coverage so that it's not, impossible. They can't just sit in man. I can't tell you guys how many times, like, you're playing against bots who run man coverage and CFM because they're idiots and can't make adjustments. And so you just, hit them with this all game and frustrate them and get them out of man. Anytime you catch them in man, you call spacing switch. You throw it basically on the break so that your guy has plenty of room to run. You also would like to always make sure that you're on the wide side of the field. So I'm going to actually respot this ball so that now my bunch is on the short side, so that now my running back here in this case can run his route to the wide side of the field, which is going to make it a whole lot easier for him to get open. You actually see how right here the leverage, we have leverage out here to the sideline. It's going to be really easy. They man switch, but yeah, we still have, look how many yards that is. And then here in this game, you can still speed boost after the catch. So the first way that you're going to destroy man, and perhaps the easiest, which is why I started the video with it, it's just going to be utilizing these speed table routes, really forcing them, even like they shade under, they press you, they're running cover 2 man, they shade underneath. You're still going to have a great opportunity against even shaded down man, like right there, to be able to create separation towards the sideline. There's really nothing that they can do besides improve their leverage, like maybe man an outside corner onto him, or like switch stick themselves, but most players don't know the counters to spacing switch, and so you can just abuse it every single time and just pick up big gains down the field. Because another thing about man is once you beat that initial guy, there's normally no one else anywhere around him to be able to tackle you. So really the first way that you're going to start abusing man coverage, start abusing these speed glitchy table routes from like spacing switch or Y sail and normal Y off close. Alright, next I want to break down the best offensive settings that you need to be using. They're going to help you destroy man coverage. Let me show you. Alright, so we're going to pause the game, we're going to come into options, we're going to come into settings, and we are going to come into game options and scroll until we find our passing mechanics. Alright, you want to make sure that you have your passing type on placement and accuracy, as it says right here, enables a timing element for perfect accuracy on bullet passes on top of visual targets to control the pass placement and power. So really a lot of words right there, but all it means is that you can control where the ball is and how accurate it is, versus if you're just on placement, you're only having control of where it is, and the accuracy is going to be determined by player ratings of your quarterback. So you want the most control. Placement and accuracy gives you that. Pass lead increase on small. This is really going to help you against man coverage because it allows you to pass lead streaks down the field. I'll show you a clip of what that would look like, in the MCS. And so you see in that clip, what you're able to see right there is where, because you have pass lead increase on small, you're able to put the ball in different areas, that you wouldn't be able to if you're using like none. Understand though, you can get more red passes, more overthrows with, it on small, so just be careful with that, but small should get the job done here. And then you want to make sure that you have your reticle speed between 5 and 20. I would recommend that you just put it on 8, all right? So 8 out of 20 is going to be the way that you're going to go right here. And so now you have the right passing settings equipped. But understand that even if we come right back into spacing switch, all right, so we're playing against man coverage, spacing switch. If you, you're going to see how I'm able to get this ball out in front of Travis Etienne, where he's able to catch that ball in stride and turn that into easy yards. It's not just that table route, though. If I were to play against man coverage, like right here, and I wanted to throw Jacoby Myers on his route, right? We just, have this to where we have leverage out here. I want to be able to get this ball towards the sideline like that so that he can catch the ball and actually be able to bring it in. If you throw that pass behind that receiver, it's just going to be really hard for you to, pick up yards, right? You're going to see how right here they're going to shade inside again, and I'm going to throw this ball behind him, where now that, look how that's a terrible pass. And so it's really you want to make sure that you have the most control and you're actually getting good with freeform, because you can see right there where that's a horrible freeform. I led that ball way behind the receiver. On the first time, I let it in front of him so he could possession catch it before he fell out of bounds. So it's really it's going to be really important for you to understand where you really need to put the ball when you're freeforming. So you can just regular pass lead, right, just by pressing the button of the receiver and then aiming the ball really where you need it to go. But you can also freeform that same pass, right? So you can freeform it. Now, not every pass is actually open. That's a really tough catch, and so that took a really good freeform down and away from the defender. But it's when you hold left trigger, aim the left stick where you want the ball to go, and then press the receiver's button, that's going to allow you to activate freeform passing. So again, this is going to be a really tough throw to Jacoby Myers every single time because he doesn't have great leverage, but yet you're still going to be able to throw it because of freeform. If I were to just press that button like I'm going to do right here, put them in man, shade inside, or shade outside here. If I were to just press B, this isn't going to be a good pass. That's an incomplete pass because he doesn't have enough room there to actually bring it in. So you really need to make sure that you're holding left trigger so that you have full control over where the ball is going. Sometimes that's going to be inside, right? So sometimes right here, actually right here it'll be outside because the guy shaded inside. So now I just have an easy completion out here, freeform and outside possession catch. But sometimes you're going to have to lead the ball behind the receiver, right? So maybe right here it'll be they'll be shaded inside. I run a curl, and maybe I want to throw this ball on his outside shoulder like that, where it's you want to be able to get that ball away from other defenders, like number 27 right there, who was kind of a lurking defender in a zone. Right, so we look at this curl route. You see how this defender comes down here in a hook? Well, I need this ball to kind of be outside towards his outside shoulder, so I'm able to freeform it like you're able to see right there where it kind of extends. So it's those little details versus if you freeform this inside or you just throw the ball, this is going to get intercepted. But really putting the ball exactly where it needs to be, using the correct freeform settings is overall just going to make your passing offense and beating man coverage a whole lot easier. So really you need to master freeform passing. Alright, so if you found this breakdown helpful of the best ways to beat man coverage thus far, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down Madden 26 tips and tricks just like this every single day to help you guys get better over the summer so that when 27 drops, you're going to be hitting the ground running from day one. So what are you thinking? Go down below, subscribe today. But if you want a full offensive scheme, fully written out with videos and screenshots for free to truly get better over the next few weeks here in Madden 26, go down below in the comment section, comment the word free, I'll send it over. It's the full Saints offensive ebook, which again has videos, screenshots, write-ups that guide you through everything, and you can save it on your phone during gameplay. So it's literally free. What are you thinking? Go down below, comment with the word free today, I'll send it over, and let's jump right back into the video. Because next I want to break down a super easy way to beat man coverage that literally requires you to think zero. You don't even have to turn your brain on an offense. That's how easy it is. Let me show you what I mean. Alright, so we're going to be talking about outside zone runs right here, alright? And so what that means, we're first going to come into off tackle here. This is in my Jaguars offensive ebook at my website. Also, it's obviously in the Jaguars playbook here from Gun Bunch tight end. So halfback off tackle. What we're trying to do is get out here to the edge, and so this is, like I said, going to be really important against man coverage. Specifically, I should have put them in like a cover 0 blitz, but specifically when you're playing against like cover 0 from like mid blitz, for example, right? So we'll just go ahead and put them in mid blitz here, and we're gonna, call off tackle. The reason why is because this formation, gun bunch tight end, for whatever reason here in this game, you're able to do an excellent job of sealing the edge defender, and you're gonna see that right here where Hendrickson's one of the best players in the game. Right, this is one of the best defensive players in this game, and yet 72 is able to do a great job with just sealing him and allowing for us to get out to the edge. And then also, these receivers do a really good job in block targeting of actually getting up here and blocking these guys. So obviously, I have them in mid blitz right here, but there's many other cover 0 and man coverage defenses that this is going to work against. And I know a lot of you guys struggle against this when you see these type of looks, but simply going to mid blitz here, you're going to be able to do a great job, going to off tackle, you're going to be able to do a great job of just getting out to the edge and turning that into easy yards. Really, it's like with this play, you don't really have to turn your brain on. I mean, you could certainly cut back if you want to. I wouldn't recommend you do that unless you see specifically that the edge isn't going to be open, but it's very rare that the edge isn't open, being honest. And then also, once you get into wide open space like that, you're able to speed boost for easy yards. So really off tackle here, a very easy run play. You actually see how right there the gap opens up for me. I'm able to speed boost and then pick up a great yard. So it's like you don't always have to bounce it all the way out to the edge. If like a lane opens up for you, that's where run vision is really important. But right here, I'm going to take it all the way out to the edge, cut up, speed boost, dumb out 23's pursuit angle, and turn that into even more yards. So this is what I mean when I say turn your brain off. I mean, this is just such an easy run. You're just able to pick up first down yardage, and it's not the easiest to shoot with their user. So, a user gap shoot technique, that's not really going to work. Some of these automatic run defenses that are good in this game against inside runs, they're not going to work against, obviously, an outside zone off tackle type of run. So going to halfback off tackle there from bunch tight end, going to be super effective, but also going to trips tight end right here and going to another play here from the Jaguars playbook, and if I could find it, it's going to be quarterback zone. So with quarterback zone, you always want to go towards the wide side of the field. So you want to make sure that your trips here is on the short side so that your quarterback has plenty of room to run. But what you're going to notice right here is these pursuit angles from that safety who's coming down, they're normally literally terrible. Like, they're literally just terrible pursuit angles. You just see how this guy just comes all the way down and just gives up the easiest lane ever. I mean, I literally bumped into my tight end and still scored a touchdown. So it's just to say that, like, this is going to be even easier yards. The only thing that could go wrong is that that guy has no outsiders, right? And so Trey Hendrickson obviously has that no outsiders ability, so he's going to be able to get off those blocks a little bit faster. But you see how right here, it doesn't matter, and Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to walk in up. So it's literally a straight line run. Like, I can't make this up. There's sometimes where you have to bounce it all the way out to the edge, and you might not score, but typically it's just going to be a straight line run. And again, if I saw Hendrickson was on one side, I would go away from him. So I would just wait until I was on the other hash mark so I could run away from him, because abilities will just blow this up, time and time again. Whereas this is literally a perfect play call against their defense, and they're just getting bailouts from a specific ability. But you're able to see how it's not every single time, and even right there, I think we don't score, but we still battle our way, for a lot of yards. So really, you're able to see how that time much better job blocking, and now we're going to be able to run down here, juke this guy out, air truck, and be able to turn that into easy yards. So bottom line here with this tip, stop thinking when you're on offense as far as beating man coverage. Just start abusing outside zone runs so that you can really force them to get out of man coverage, and you don't have to turn your brain on when you're on offense. All right, before I jump to those final two tips that are going to help you beat man coverage here in Madden 26, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down Madden 26 tips and tricks just like this every single day to help you guys get better, and you don't want to miss out on any of the tips that I have for you. So what are you thinking? Subscribing is literally free. We're going to have amazing content over the summer and when 27 drops, so I highly recommend you hit that subscribe button, and let's jump into those final two man beating tips. Because that next one makes the game super easy by abusing mesh concepts every time they run man coverage. Let me show you why they work. Alright, so you can obviously call a mesh concept against any defense in the game, or excuse me, from any formation here in the game, or you could do it against any defense. It really doesn't just have to be man, but obviously this is a man-beating video, so we're going to see how they're in man, and we're just going to see how mesh kind of affects these defenders. That's off man coverage, which is supposed to be a safer man coverage option for them, but you just see how they bump. And so that's really key with this. You know, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? I'm just going to force you to bump because that's how man coverage is. This guy is in a, you know, mid-read zone right here, and so the guys that are trying to follow these drags bump, one bump, and then I believe he bumps too. Right, and so it's just like that's the name of the game when you're playing against man coverage, is like forcing them to bump into each other with mesh concepts. Now, you could certainly have other man-beating routes, like especially if they're an off-man core routes, you know, crossing routes, do a great job, but you should always have some sort of a mesh because we know how common bumping is going to be. It's going to happen pretty much on every single play. Especially, and the reason why you want to have two drags is because you want those defenders, when they're trying to follow each other, they're more likely to bump into each other than your offensive players are. And also, like, there's also a bunch of zones that are on the field as well, especially when, like, you block your running back, the guy who's manned up onto him just drops into the middle of the field every time, and so that creates another defender, right? So let's see, I believe is it this defender? Yeah, so he's manned up onto the running back, and or maybe it's Hendrickson, I don't know which one of these guys are, but one of them's manned up on the running back, so you see how they're both just dropping into the middle of the field, and they bump, right? So this defender's in man on Jacoby Myers, other guys manned up on my tight end, and so they just, when they're, you know, about to run into each other, they just bump. And that just gives us the little bit of separation that we need to be able to throw that pass out there and turn that into easy yards. It's like, you can do this. The reason why I like mesh concept so much is because it doesn't matter the players that you have. You could have some of the worst receivers in the game. It's just the concept and the, you know, practice of just forcing their guys to bump. Also, some of your other man-beating routes like crossers, curls, in routes, they're not going to be as good against press coverage typically because those receivers have to get off their press. With mesh concepts, like with two drags, they don't really have to get off their, you know, man coverage or get off the press in the same way. It's typically a whole lot easier for them to just run across the field, and as drag routes continue running, so it doesn't just have to be drags, you could also put your running back on like an in route as well. That's another man beating option, and you just see how easy that's going to be for you. Sometimes they just dumb out and don't cover him. So it's like, it's just to say that mesh concepts are going to be some of the easiest ways that you're going to be able to attack man coverage, really without having to think a whole lot. It's really simple. Bump, immediate bump. I saw it right off the snap, and you so we're able to turn a 3-yard drag into, you know, a 20-yard completion down the field. So it doesn't get any easier than mesh concepts against man coverage, because also you're gonna force their user to pick their poison, right? Where it's like both of these drags could be open, or a crosser could be open here, so their user can only guard one of them, and then gonna leave the other one open. So that's really what it is. I mean, I think every single play we've called bump. Like that guy 44 got bumped twice in man coverage, and so he gets absolutely annihilated, and so we're able to turn these into easy yards. So whether it's here in Madden 26, and Madden 27, and Madden 28, when you're playing against man coverage and you can't seem to beat it, right, you don't have the receivers or whatever it is, this is another great way that you're going to be able to pass the ball and beat man coverage every single time. Alright, and for those of y'all that stuck around to the end of this video, I have a pro strategy here that's going to help you beat man coverage when you're playing against really good defensive players who still want to run man because they can stop everything else I've showed you in this video. Let me show you what I mean. Alright, so what we're going to be talking about here is countering the route commit, because the reality is really good defensive players who run man coverage, they're not just going to let you, do everything I've shown you in this video all game. They're going to have counters to it, whether it's, route committing is a good one, putting extra zones in the field. So you really need to have a way to beat their best man coverage, right? Their best version of man. And so really what that means is what they're going to do on defense is they're going to shade their coverage in one direction, and they're going to press Y or triangle and then A or X, and they're going to click onto every receiver and route commit him in the opposite way that they shaded. So really why they're going to do that is because if I saw an offense, right, that they are shaded inside, everyone's shaded inside, I'm thinking I'm just going to put Brian Thomas Jr. and Jacoby Myers both on out routes and trust that one of them gets open. And you're just going to see how one of them does get open, and so that's going to be an easy pitch and catch out there time and time again. So it's like they know that when they're on defense. They know if they give it away that they shade in one direction. Right here, they're shaded outside, so I'm just going to call a drag. I have better leverage than he has, and so I'm going to be able to get off the ball a lot sooner and, you know, turn that into a big gain if I didn't have horrible pocket. So it's like if you just decide to, when you're on defense, shade in one direction, understand that smart offensive players are going to go in the opposite direction. And so really what you have to do when you're on defense is what they're going to do is shade inside, and then they're going to route commit outside, or shade outside and then route commit inside to really trick you into going in that direction. So again, right here, I'm going to shade outside, or excuse me, I'm going to shade inside and then route commit outside on both Jacoby Myers and Brian Thomas Jr. And you're going to notice how this man coverage is going to be a lot tighter. That is a lot tighter man coverage, and we get a breakup because of it. Because what's really going on is you're telling that defender, if you're on defense, hey, I know we're shaded inside, but I think they're running an outside breaking route, so I'm going to route commit you outside so that you actually get out there and guard it. And so that's really, really effective. You see how this is really tight? He doesn't fall for this fake like he did on the last play. He actually gets out here and runs this route, uses the sideline as another defender, and then breaks the pass up at the point of attack. Same thing on the other side, I would bet. Like, this is, you know, much tighter man coverage. We're able to follow that route all the way out to the sideline and make it a really tight catch. So when you're on offense, what you need to do is counter the route commit, which is just go against the grain. You see they're shaded inside, especially now. Right here, I would start the game. If they shade inside, I'm going to start the game going with my out-breaking routes. Just traditional stuff, common sense. But when I see that they start route committing outside, because I know that because my out-breaking routes are no longer getting open like they used to, now I'm just going to start running inside, even though they're shaded inside, because that's how you're going to punish them. Right, so let's just go ahead and take like this mid-read defender off the field. Right, I'll just go ahead and blitz him. So now the middle of the field is going to be open for us. So now what I can do is run an in route, stem that in route up, and this in route is going to cook. You see how he gets cooked on that? And I mean, I needed more time to throw, but 29 got absolutely destroyed on that rep because I told him as a defense, hey, I think that they're running outside. But no, they're running inside. So he like, you see how he's kind of backing up and a little bit out towards the sideline? No. Now we just break inside. This is wide open. This is an easy completion, and we might have been able to score because we have great run after catch ability with that specific player. So that's really what I'm breaking down here is go against the grain a little bit. Once you see that they're, you know, really doing a great job of strapping up your routes, just go against whatever they're showing you, right? So they're going to shade inside, and they're going to probably route commit Jacoby Myers outside, tricking you. But no, I'm just going to call a drag now. I'm going to put him on a drag even though he's shaded inside because I know that he's route committing outside, and you're going to notice how like he's going to be able to get great separation running across the field right there. So really here with this tip, again, they're going to start the game by route committing in the opposite direction that they're shading. And really when they start doing that, make sure that you're tricking them and then going in the opposite direction. And I guarantee you're going to be able to get open way more often. Alright, so if you found that breakdown of beating man coverage helpful here in Madden 26, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down Madden 26 tips and tricks just like this every single day to help you guys get better. And we're going to be doing the same thing over the summer to get you ready for Madden 27. So this is really the best channel to watch and take information from. So go down below, hit that subscribe button today. And again, a reminder, if you want my free Saints offensive ebook, which has the full videos, screenshots, write-ups to go along with it to guide you, go down below in the comment section, comment the word free. I'll send it over to you today. And if you want to see the defensive ebook that pairs perfectly with that Saints offense, check out this video right here where I break down my Cowboys offense. I'll see you over there. Peace.